Good morning. And welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's in-person and online worship. Whether today is your first time here or you've been coming for years, we're so glad you are with us. My name is Caroline Marsden, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm serving as this morning's worship associate. We are a growing community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for this earth. A special welcome to those at home who are joining us on Zoom today. If you're attending for the first time, please go to our website and fill out the welcome card so we know more about you. One announcement today from the Social Justice Committee. Today is the day, again. Join us in room 8, which is the boardroom, right after the service to write letters to North Carolina voters, encouraging them to vote. Nonpartisan letters, all supplies, and lots of encouragement provided. Come join us, 11:15 to 12:15, or whatever amount of time you can spare. Now we invite you all to take this opportunity to silence your cell phones so that we can be fully present with one another. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee or tea in the kitchen window and stay for conversation, or head down to the end of the long hallway to join a group for the brown bag brunch. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with one another. And now let us center our hearts and minds with the ringing of the chimes.
Good morning, church. And good morning to those 2 new infants I see in the back that I've been so excited to meet. I'm coming for you after this. Good morning, church. I am Reverend Tara. I use they, them pronouns, and I serve as the minister here at Allen A2U2 Church, A2U2 for short. And what a joy to be together on this gorgeous fall morning. Today in worship, we are reflecting on what we can learn from maps and terrain about doing the work of community together here in this church and out in the wider world. After the lamp lighting ritual, our children and youth will join Emily down the hall for an RE welcome back session. And parents of our 4th through 6th graders will join us later this afternoon for an orientation to Our Whole Lives, or OWL, a comprehensive sexuality education program we'll be running this fall in collaboration with the UU congregation in Yarmouth, which is very exciting. Those of you who have little ones, please know that the noises and squeaks and cries that your kiddos make are a joyful noise in the eyes and ears of this community. You are welcome here. A noisy church is amen. You can find out what else is happening after service today in your order of service, but for now, you have just one job: to arrive fully, to breathe deeply, to allow yourself to soften, to allow your mind and your heart to open. We are here because life is too difficult to do and to make sense of alone. We are here because in one way or another, spirit, love, relationship has stirred something in us, and we seek purpose, connection, comfort, inspiration, challenge. But most importantly, most simply, most miraculously, we are here. And that is a gift. Friends, come into this space where all are welcome, all are needed, all are loved. Come and be welcome. You are joyfully called to worship.
As we light our sanctuary chalice this morning, those joining on Zoom are invited to light a chalice or candle near you to connect us more deeply with one another. It is not always easy to find love at the center. There is not a set of easy instructions numbered 1 through 7. It is not always easy to find love at the center. Today in Covenant, we celebrate our living tradition, which invites us to take deep breaths of fresh air into the newness of every day, so our minds, hearts, and spirits will be continually nourished. It is not always easy to find love at the center, so for today, we gather in Covenant to celebrate the reality that love is at the core of our beings, and that love will guide us if we open ourselves to the challenges which love requires of us.
And we light our second candle this morning, a candle of community. As narratives of misinformation and dangerous lies about our immigrant neighbors take hold in this country, let us remember to seek out the truth, to challenge narratives of hate, and to open our hearts in love to those who have sought refuge in our communities. Will you take a breath with me? Our opening hymn this morning is number 360 in your gray hymnal or up on the screen. Here we have gathered. Dale will play it through once, and then you are invited to rise in body or in spirit as we join our voices in song. What are we talking about this morning? Maps. So this is one kind of map, right? This is a map of the greater Portland area. Where else do we have maps? In the car? In our phones. Did anyone notice what this time for all ages is called? Turn left. What does that make you think of? Turn signals. What else? Boating. Navigation. Siri yelling at you in the car. Anyone? Okay, so I have two helpers this morning, Dexter and Calvin. And they're going to be the drivers, so you two can come on up here. We talked about this beforehand. I'm going to be Siri, the navigator, and Calvin and Dexter are going to be the cars. So, can you turn and face the congregation? Go forward. Go forward. Turn right. Turn right. Turn right. Keep going. Go straight. Go straight. Recalculating. Recalculating. Turn left. Pull a U-turn. Recalculating. 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 Thank you. You can. You're free now. So, has anyone had that happen in the car to you before? It's like, turn left, and you're like, that's the ocean. Because sometimes we become aware that the ground, the earth, the water, the space around us, underneath us, is not the same as the map, right? So if we only focus on the map, the thing that's pointing us in the direction we think we want to go, sometimes we miss what's actually in front of us. That's it. That's my message. We're going to get to unpack that a little bit more later, but for now, hopefully you are recalculating. And I'd like to, Ann Funderburg, what do you have to offer? Dexter means bright. Right. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Turn right. So at this time, I'd like to invite Emily up, and she will introduce this morning's lamplighter.
In a few moments, some of us will leave the sanctuary to enjoy religious education programming, but first I invite our lamplighter, Dexter, since we can't get enough of him today, to join me in the pulpit. The lamplighter is entrusted to transfer the light of the sanctuary chalice to the lamp and then go forth to RE spaces where they will light the chalices there. Dexter will now light the lamp. I invite those going to RE to follow the lamplighter as we carry the flame, expanding our sacred space.
Would you join me now in the spirit of prayer? In honor of the risk takers, those that hold the vision with clarity and charge forward with optimism, even in the face of others' doubts. You are our lamp lighters and our guides. May we never forget courage, the courage it takes to lead the way forward. In honor of the cautious skeptics, those who gather the information needed to navigate the tumultuous waters of change, you are the map makers and the preparers of the stores. May we appreciate your attention to the details that keep us on course. In honor of the doubters, those that may fear the changing tides of a turbulent world, you are our anchors and remind us of where we have been and where we are as a community now. May we relish your commitment to our history and your passion for who we have become. In honor of the dreamers, those that imagine what we can be to and in this world, you are the wind that blows the sails of change, pushing us ever forward. May we revel always in your whimsy and hope that dares us to never stop becoming. May the work we do together strengthen our community and strengthen our world. May we heed the call to always hold the vision of a free church ever in our sight and to work always toward justice. Together, we wield a powerful spirit that is strengthened by the gifts of each and every one of us. In the name of all that is holy, I pray. Amen.
Now is the time in our service where we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support the ministries of this congregation and our work in the broader community. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a local nonprofit organization doing work to advance our shared values in the world. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Family Promise, whose mission is to help low-income families and families experiencing homelessness achieve sustainable independence. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed through the donate button on our website, or if you are a member, on Breeze, remembering to make note that your gift is for Share the Plate. If you are visiting us for the first time this morning, please know that your presence is your gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received.
Caroline and I are going to do this morning's reading together today. This is by Teresa Youngblood. She writes, "In order to travel the great way together, we have to cultivate a sense of belonging that isn't conditional upon conformity. I don't want a smoothed out, disproportionately aggrandized faith that attempts to draw all comers into its one self-righteous place at the top of the map of humanity, leaving the messiness of their upbringings and lived realities behind them. Instead, I want an imaginative and wandering faith of holy cartographers, eager encounters who pay exquisite attention to the terrain and the systemic forces that shape it. Leaders who meet people where they are, approach them with curiosity, hold lightly to their own individual stories, and are willing to be surprised and delighted and moved by what they discover in the treasure trove of another."
This cannot happen with assimilation. It has to be transformation. We all have to be aiming for transformation and to be willing to be guided not by positions and placeholders, but by values held in covenant and to which anyone of loving intention can guide us back. The old top-heavy map simply cannot get us there.
Could we teach one another how to do this? Could we make the foundation of our faith development learning how to inhabit an open and curious presence by rooting firmly in our own mutual belovedness, as it is so beautifully articulated in the universalist half of our heritage? I want us to heal one another through our fiercely compassionate presence so that we can chart a different path as a matter of lived theology, so that we can caringly release the old one-directional paths that aren't broad enough for all of us to accompany one another.
I think this degree of spiritual security and resiliency could be what gets us there, what frees our souls to encounter the sacred terrain of one another's experiences. What we discover and share could be our new map, more complete and truer than the one we were handed that we didn't know we could leave behind. This could be how we grow our new way together.
We are building our way, feeling strong.
Last Sunday, we celebrated the beginning of a new year together, bringing water here from the north, south, east, and west to this place on Allen Avenue, symbolic of the gifts and presents each of us bring to this community. We reflected together on the importance of returning to the water, the community that cherishes us, the people who help us to see the big picture, the places in nature that restore your soul, the practices that ground us when things get hard. And here we are, back at the water stop. And we are embarking on a new beginning in more ways than one here at A2U2 this fall. In addition to beginning a new program year, we are also beginning a new shared ministry. For those of you newer to the community or who just need a little refresher, here's a little context. In 2022, I began my time here as your transitional minister with the role of helping this church heal from a hard ending and get back on its feet after returning to in-person worship and programming after COVID. I stayed for a second year of transitional ministry where we went into discernment about what would come next. We spent much of last year reflecting on who we want to be as a community, about what we value, how we want to communicate with one another, and what relationships we want to build in this place. We continued to recover from the impacts the pandemic had on our church, remembering how to do church together, welcoming new members and working for justice in the wider community. And that 2-year period of intentional transition is over. And now we're back. We have our feet firmly planted under us again, a strong place from which to begin. It became clear last year that this church and I are well suited for doing hard work together most of the time. We built trust and cultivated relationships of mutual respect. I believe in you, and I believe in us, which is why I'm still here, to serve by your side of this next phase of our shared ministry. And so this chapter, this leg of the journey we are beginning now, this leg of the journey is about transformation. It's about learning new skills, gaining tools for living our values here at church and in our lives the other 6 days of the week, and committing to practicing them so that over time they become natural, so that they become not just what we do, but who we are. This chapter is about building our capacity for relationships across difference, for healing, forgiving, and receiving love. In short, this shared ministry we are beginning now is about the work of culture change. Not because there's anything wrong with us, but because we as a community exist within a fractured society. Our context, the backdrop of our shared life here, is corroding trust, an inability to talk to one another about hard things, an unwillingness to listen, an unwillingness to tell the truth, an insistence on being right. Our values, that which we aspire to, interdependence, generosity, equity and pluralism, transformation, and justice with love at the center. These values are counter-cultural in our society today, and living them out in our daily lives is no small task. My transitional ministry colleagues and I often joke that culture eats strategy for breakfast. that culture eats strategy for breakfast, and I might add for lunch and for dinner and for every snack in between. You can have all the good creative ideas in the world, but unless you've done the long haul work of co-creating a culture hospitable to transformation and to change, nothing will stick. And so we focus on culture change, and we focus on the culture here, in this community, and in our families, and in the smaller areas of our lives where we have some control, because this is where we practice, and practice makes possible. Author, therapist, and community organizer Prentice Hemphill introduced me to the term transitional characters. They write, in family systems therapy, the term transitional character refers to the person in a family who takes on the work of interrupting and changing generational patterns. They continue, we become who we are in part because of the systems that shaped us, but we can become even more of who we are when we resist, when we look at where we are from, where we want to go, and then begin to transform our future. I believe, Prentice writes, we can decide to transform every system in which we are embedded. I believe that our Unitarian Universalist faith calls us to be the transitional characters of this moment, those who take up the work of interrupting and changing patterns and culture that no longer serves who we are and who we want to become. As a covenantal faith tradition, a people who place value not so much in what we believe individually, but instead how we want to be and how we want to be collectively together, we have an incredible tool. The incredible tool is covenant, promises that guide our relationships in community. Our lived covenants are how we co-create culture. So let's talk about maps. Reverend Erica Barron, the UUA New England Regional staff person who I work closely with and who supports our work as a congregation, wrote a fascinating blog post a few years back inviting congregations into this imagery of maps and terrain as we imagine the work of culture change. The words of a covenant, or the promises we make to each other about how we want to be together, those are like the map. They help us understand how we want to relate. But the covenant itself, she writes, the covenant itself is like the terrain described by the map, with all its dimensionality ranging from muddy swamps to majestic peaks. It can never be completely captured in words. Commitment to each other, to our values, and to our understanding of our purpose, as we have spent much of this past year discussing, creates the covenant. When we put words on paper, we are pointing to that covenant, not capturing it in its entirety. She explains, it's our collective commitments that are the landscape. Sometimes we may get a bit lost together, and that's when we need the map to help us find our way. Once someone has a sense of the map and has had a chance to explore the terrain a bit, they may have new things to share. If everyone who mapped a given landscape moved on foot, Someone who crawls or moves on wheels might have insights that no one else has noticed yet. These new insights might mean we need to add more detail to our map or edit the words that help us understand our covenant. I've been thinking lately a lot about this congregation's physical space, its land. We have various maps of the acreage, lines and boundary markers pointing out where the wetland areas are and where the gardens and playground and buildings are. But the maps are not the terrain. The terrain has to be experienced. The land has to be walked, played on, explored with the senses in order that we might truly be in relationship with it, that we might be grounded on it, that we might be changed by it. We can write a covenant, our promises, down on paper, and we have a first draft of a congregational covenant, which most of you were sent after annual meeting last June, and it's posted on bulletin boards throughout the building. We will have opportunities ahead to share our thoughts on it, and much more importantly, to practice using it. It's important, and ultimately, it's just the map. It's a tool for culture change, for transformation, but it's not the work in its entirety. We co-create, change culture by how we engage with the terrain, by how we engage with one another, with the world outside the walls of this congregation, with our values and our commitments, with generational patterns, with systems, with the land itself. Like we saw in our Time for All Ages, the map is useless if we're not attentive to the real, living, breathing, moving context of the world we are embedded in here and now. We, progressive people of faith, are conjuring a vision of community that we have not yet seen. We are working to build a beloved community we've never actually experienced. We're doing all that we can to save ourselves from the collapse of democracy, an idea, an aspiration that we have never even seen or felt fully realized. We are dreaming of a land, a promised land to which none of us has arrived. This is why the microcosm of culture we create here together matters so much. The map, yes, but even more so the terrain itself. Because this is where we practice. This is where we have the opportunity to do things differently, to create a pocket of love in a world of hate, a corner of possibility and healthy relationships in a world of demoralization and conflict. And I don't know about you, but when I have those moments in community where I can feel, touch, taste the possibility of a world I can imagine being proud of, where respect for ourselves, each other, and our earth runs deep, where change is the expectation and transformation unfolds all around us, where justice has taken root, I am infused with the energy and the will to move forward into the unknown future. The work of culture change, of map making, of navigating complex terrain, it is hard work. But in the words of this morning's reading, I don't want a smoothed out, disproportionately aggrandized faith that attempts to draw all comers into its one self-righteous place at the top of the map of humanity, leaving the messiness of their upbringings and lived realities behind them. I want an imaginative and wandering faith of holy cartographers, eager encounters who pay exquisite attention to the terrain and the systemic forces that shape it. Leaders who meet people where they are, approach them with curiosity, hold lightly to their own stories, and are willing to be surprised and delighted and moved by what they discover in the treasure trove of another. It is hard work, and it is our shared calling. So, my holy cartographers, let us begin. And may we make it so. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing hymn this morning is number 354 in your gray hymnal and up on the screen. We laugh, we cry. Dale will play it through once, and then you are invited to rise in body or in spirit as we join our voices as one. What we discover and share here could be our new map, more complete and truer than the one we were handed and that we didn't know we could leave behind. This could be how we grow our new way together. Our worship has ended, and our service begins. Go.